Good morning and welcome to the Institute for Sacred Evolution. And today we have Dr. Shep who's going to speak to us about, what is it that you've been thinking about? No, the harvest. The harvest. And what does that mean spiritually? And I can't wait to hear it myself personally. So without further ado, I present to you Dr. Shep.
Thank you. All right. Good celebration, everyone.
Good celebration, sir.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's the harvest. It's the fall time. Most of us are familiar with the fall harvest. You know, reaping the fruits of our labor, seeds of the planet. But before we get off into the spiritual aspect of this harvest, let's just have a brief discussion on the change of the seasons. You know, and today kind of, hit hard with us because yesterday was, what we consider a nice day as far as temperature wise. You can, short sleeves or a light jacket, what have you. And today seems that I have on my long johns. So there was a drastic change between yesterday and today, which gives us an indication that yes, there's definitely a change that's on its way. Okay, so just from your perspective, what comes to mind when you think of the change of seasons? Anything?
Yes. Colors, the colors on the trees, and how from today they're green and tomorrow they're red. That is amazing to me.
Colors. That's so apropos, colorful.
Yeah.
That become you as colors. Anything else?
See, it's just purifying, like the fresh air. It makes prepare you for the new.
Yes.
And when he says new, for me, it's new beginnings in the fall. It's like a time where, for me, it's just a new beginning time. New things are starting to happen. I know we're having a new moon in the next week or so. Yeah.
Colors, leaves change, purifying the air, it's more crisp. You got to tell the difference. Preparation for what's to come next as things have changed. New beginnings. Great. Anything else? You have anything you want? Just enjoying the dialogue discussion. Yeah.
I notice people's attitudes start to change.
Attitudes.
People, to me, at this time of the year, become calm. They're beginning to slow down.
Yes.
They're not hurried anymore.
Well, really, this is our time for exactly that. To start slowing down, bringing in what you've created, sitting down and thinking about what you're going to do in the new year, making your plans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I'm just making these notes down here, so when I erase this, we can still make reference to the things that we said earlier. We're just going to build upon, discussion, building upon what we talked about. Purifying, preparation in the beginning.
Attitudes.
And football.
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 That's why I did that.
I do like football. I do like football.
Great. So, what is it that influences these changes? I mean, why does the seasons change? And when it does change, what is it that influences these things when the seasons change? Ideas, we're open for discussion.
Our DNA.
Our DNA.
Okay, DNA. What do you mean DNA? Elaborate.
I believe we affect our environments. It's been climbing more than we've been doing forever. replacement.
Okay. Cool. DNA. Yes.
I believe that too, because I know that we control the weather through our attitudes, how we feel. So, yeah. And if we understand that we are connected to this world, the totality of it, then yes, we would.
Attitudes. Great.
Divine natural attitude.
And one letter,
DNA.
I'm saying
attitude.
it's cyclical, like as our body constantly go through the changes, so do our body.
Right.
And we right in sync with it.
Cool. Yep. All right on. All right on. Yeah. And so I'm just going to add to this as well, as we begin to make the discourse, the discussion from my perspective. One of the things that also influence the change of the seasons is the sun. So we'll put the sun up here in the corner. Sun. Right? And from the standpoint that the sun, as we, for the most part, we said it is the giver of life, sustainer of life on this plane. And there has to be there's a balance, meaning on the planet that we live, third rock, if we're too close, the balance doesn't promote life. If we're too far away, the balance doesn't promote life. So the sun is very key also in supporting life, as well as its effect on life, meaning its change. Okay, and why is that? Well, from the sun, comes all kind of rays, all kind of energies. Gamma rays, X-rays, UV rays, black light, what have you. But the energy that we're concerned with for this discussion is the life force. The chi that comes from the sun, it shoots down on the earth, right? And we also know that chi energy has a dual nature. It has a polarity, electromagnetic, masculine, feminine, right? So with that in mind, as these rays are shooting forth, right? The closer we are to the sun, the more it is, and the farther away, the less it is. So when this sheet comes, what we're going to do is we're going to draw a picture. This is going to represent Earth.
Wow, impressive.
Okay, and now as these rays, we're going to call it life force. Comes down, right? As mentioned before, there's a polarity to it. And for our discussion here, we're going to call the polarity thermal and hydration. Okay, and we can even just, from the sun, do a little yin yang within the sun. So again, there's one sun, shoots forth the energy of life force. It's one energy, but the energy has a pole to it, which we're going to call thermal hydration. So, and from thermal, we get what we commonly call heat, right? And from the hydration, we get water, right? And so, even within the thermal and the hydration, there's a dual aspect as well. Because in the heat, it will either be hot, extreme heat, we get hot, but if it's void of heat, it's cold, right? Okay, the same with the water aspect. The water, if it's extremely watery, it would be wet, right? If it's lacking hydration, then we'll call it dry, right? So as you can see, from the energy, there's one energy, our main energy from the sun, the life force, right, has a polarity, and even the polarity has a polarity, right? Again, gives us an effect on Earth, right? And the effect on Earth would be this. Again, from the thermal factor, if it's void of all heat, void of anything, it will be cold. At the same time, if it's lacking hydration, it would be. Well, actually, let's go with the. If it's full of hydration, we go wet. You see what I'm going with this one. I mean, there's a reason why there's a correlation like this. Okay. So cold and wet, right? And cold and wet, even though we have water source of hydration, those two components will give us, for the most part, the element known as water. Water will be cold and wet. Meaning the hydration is at its highest, right? Is wet. The thermal is at its lowest, so it's cold. So this would give us an extreme yin, because it's the yin of hydration and the yin of thermal, or the feminine principle of hydration and the feminine principle of thermal. So the extreme yin will be cold and wet, water element. Now what happens is, and this would be represented when we're further away from the sun, which means that we're not getting as much light force, so we're in extreme yin. So as we go around the sun, I mean, kind of goes around the sun, we begin to take on more thermal, more heat, because we're getting closer to the sun, right? And what happens is, the closer we get to the sun, we would get hot, right? But yet, we're not at our closest to the sun, so even though we're hot, because we're getting hot, what happens is the hydration begins to lessen, which means that we'll call it wet. It begins to lose some of its moisture, but it's not all the way dry. So it still has some moisture. So we go from cold and wet, as we begin to heat up, we become hot and moist, right? And this can be represented by the element of air. So we go from cold and wet water element, then we go as water. As we begin to heat up a little bit, we go to hot and moist, right? And then as the seasons, or as time, as we get closer, as the evolution continues, right? We still get even hotter. We get so hot, right, that the moisture begins to lose. We lost all moisture. So our hydration factor is dry. So now we have hot and dry, right? And this hot and dry have a correlation with the element of fire, okay? So this is at this most extreme point, we're hot and we're dry. And then what happens as we begin to cool down, right? We cool down, so this hotness becomes less hot and more cold. As we cool down, we become cold. And as we become cold, we're not yet back at the extreme cold, so that we have the wet from the hydration, but it's still somewhat elevated, so we have the dry factor, right? And this will be considered with the element of water, right, earth. Okay, and so far, again, just from the light forces coming from the sun, as we revolve around the planet, as the planet revolves around the sun, this is how we come up with the temperaments, right? The temperaments also, as well as our seasons, because it's cold and wet, will be considered the winter time. The most extreme yin state of all, winter time. And again, we go from winter time to springtime, we begin to warm up a little bit, and it's represented in nature, it's like, okay, springtime, a little bit more activity, right? Just a little bit more activity, you can feel it in our being, okay? Springtime, hot and moist, nature, birds begin, all those things happen. And then from springtime, moving to extreme hot, we have summertime. Okay, and again from summer, things begin to cool off. Okay, we come to what this season we have now, fall. Right.
Oh, that makes sense.
Mhm. Now, again, the sun has an effect on Earth, and because we are the microcosm of the macrocosm, of course, that this is represented also within our being. Okay, especially our own life force, our own energy. Meaning, we do feel these things, and we this season, fall that we're in now, as mentioned earlier, some of the things that we said about as colors. Meaning, as nature begins to not have as much life force in and of itself, then the leaves begin to lose their chlorophyll, so they start to change colors from the green and vibrant green to various colors because the lack of the life force is coming from the sun. The purifying aspect, the air becomes more crisp, okay? All due to the fact of the, what's happening with the life force, okay? Calmness, slowing down. So all these things that we talked about earlier, what we feel about that's happening with us is in direct correlation to, of course, levels and things like this. It all ties in there. Right? Thank you very much. Aaron, you mentioned water. We are about to lose a break. Make sure I stay hydrated.
Well, you go down, dehydrated.
Yeah. Thank you. Right. And again, we are the microcosm of the macrocosm. So within our beings, we have our own life force, right? And this sun has a direct effect on our own life force. Okay. Now, also, so much so we can actually look at our organs of this as well. For example, in the wintertime, having associated with the kidney organ. The hot and moist have a correlation with the liver. Some have a correlation with the heart. And earth have a correlation with the lungs. Right? So we're moving to this fall season. These seasons are represented by 4 pivotal points in the year, which we commonly call the solstices and the equinoxes. Right? So now here in the wintertime, we have the winter solstice. Winter solstice. And all we're saying here that this is the time that the earth is furthest away from the sun, you know. Over here we have the spring equinox, right? All we're saying is the equinox is that there's an equal amount of light, equal amount of daytime, right? Then in the summertime, of course, we have the summer solstice. And the summer solstice is we're at the hottest point. Also, the days are the longest. Here, in the wintertime, the nights are the longest. It's the longest period. You know, it's like this, you know, most of us are familiar with Christmas time, you know, celebrating the birth of Jesus, the birth of the Son. And traditionally, it's because the winter solstice is around December 25th. We write these dates up here as well. December 21st, right, really begins this winter solstice, which is the longest nights, like 3 days of the longest nights. And then after that, the sun begins to, you know, come back. So it's like the sun is being born again, right? And all these days are approximately around the 21st. Spring equinox is around March 21st. Summer solstice is around June 21st. And the fall is around September 21st. Okay. And again, so we just had last month officially the beginning of our fall season. So we've had some days where, you know, kind of cool, and we had some noticeable differences. Like I said, the day was definitely noticeable because it was a drastic change. Okay. It may warm back up a little bit. Then, you know, there's like this ebb and flow. Some days it's colder than other days. And at nighttime, some nights are colder than nighttime until we reach, of course, the winter solstice at this point. Okay. Now, Also, another aspect, this can be looked at as 12 p.m. Right? And this can be looked at, we're gonna go through it, this is right along with me. Everybody okay?
Yes,
All right.
it makes sense.
Yeah, it's very simple. And this can be looked at as 6 a.m. And this can be looked at as 12 noon. And this can be looked at as 6 p.m. Right?
Mhm.
Okay. And I mean, this is not really a health class, but we also know that each organ has a pair: the kidneys and bladder, liver and gallbladder, heart, small intestines, and lungs, large intestines, right? And so much so that in the Chinese herbal medicine, the spleen deals with the actual change of seasons and Indian summers. So the spleen and stomach, okay? Just kind of a little tidbit on what's happening. Again, we have the microcosm and the macrocosm, and this life force coming from the sun, that one has an effect on our being. And the more we know about the cycles, right, and the temperament and what happens in each season, the better we can actually be in balance ourselves, knowing that the only constant is change, right? So in order to be in balance, we must constantly be changing, right? Because if we're doing the same thing day in and day out, year in and year out, we're really not changing, which means that we're not in harmony, we're not in balance, which can cause complications in our life. Especially we, on one hand, we're saying we're divine beings, we're gods and goddesses, but we're kind of stagnant in our life, which means that we're not manifesting or living that which we say that we are.
Amen.
Okay. So again, just an idea of what happens in this life force and how it affects us, and how we can actually, begin to, if we're not already, have a lifestyle that's more reflective of the seasons. This means we're changing with the seasons. Okay. So now, what does this time have to do with all of this? Well, again, we're talking about life force, right? And our solar year, our yearly solar year, can be looked at the same as the day, right? Meaning, at 6 a.m., you wake up, ready to go. Like, okay, I'm up and let's do something. You kind of, it's a slow start for most of us, but unless you just like that, kind of wake up, maybe get a little breakfast and, get to where you're going and, and then by high noon, boom, you're doing, from noon to 3, 4, 5, whatever. The energy's right there. You're just doing something, Then at 6 p.m., now your day. It's like, okay, well, nice day. Now we're getting to wind down, you're ready for the night, right? Okay, then nighttime, 12 p.m. With this also, there's within a daily cycle, there's something called the circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm. I was thinking rhythm is a funny word, but it's like,
It is.
Wow, it's sometimes wise about, the evil language we're dealing with rhythm. Anyhow, the circadian rhythm, which simply says that on the 24-hour day, our life force is doing something. It's doing something specific during each season of the 24-hour day. Okay. Whether we are in line with that or not, then, again, the more we are in line with what our life force is doing, then the more we're in line in harmony and balance with nature, with the season, with the cosmos, with our divine self. And the more out of line we are, then of course we're just out of line. There tends to be complications and situations that arise that, we be like, wow, what's going on? Kind of thing. Because we fail to realize that we're not in line. Okay. And the circadian rhythm simply says that during the nighttime, 12 p.m., my body's doing certain things, the resting, healing, it's doing its thing, which is represented during the winter time, hibernation, our life force is not much so, okay. Springtime, we get up in the morning, our life force is beginning to rise, and, I like breakfast because we're breaking the fast, we haven't had anything, so whatever we put in time. In fact, my breakfast is water. This is my breakfast. I break my fast with water. Okay, I drink at least a liter before I put any food in my system. Water is very crucial. Staying hydrated. Mhm. Yes, indeed. All right. And of course, during the day, you know, you may want to eat your largest meal during the day because, you know, you're using the most energy and yada things are going. Then of course, at 6 p.m., after 6 p.m., the circadian rhythm says that we should limit our food after a certain time because it gives the body time to digest and assimilate the things that we're putting up in the body. And again, the 24-hour day can be likened to the solar year. Okay, which means that specifically we're talking about the fall, since that's the season we're in, at 6 p.m. There are certain things that we should be doing in this fall season. Okay, and this is now we're going to get up into more specific. The title of the topic of the day, spiritual harvest. What does that mean? Okay, what that means simply is this: coming from a spiritual standpoint, right? Okay. We know that we do know here at the Institute for Sacred Evolution, we know that we're not the body, we're not the mind. We know that we are the life force. We know that we are not the will. But these are the things that we use, right? These are tools that we use as God, as divine being. We use the life force, we use the will. We use the will to say, I will do this, I will do that. And we use the life force to manifest what it is that we say we want to do. Right? So that's the duality of our being as God. We use our will, use our life force, natural feminine principles, right? Okay. So what happens is we use our will to impregnate our life force to bring about any change, any desire, any goal we want to have in this plane, right? Or any plane for that matter. Because we are God. We are interdimensional galactic beings, right? So what happens is ideally, the ideal time for us to impregnate our life force is the winter time, right? Which means that, you know, springtime, we impregnate it during the winter time, and the springtime things begin to grow and to flourish, right? So this is the time that things we impregnate in our life force begin to happen. Summertime is like full blown. It's like, man, you know, whatever coming on now, right? So the fall, right, dealing with the lungs, right? And the lungs are the organs of letting go. Okay, so during this season, this fall season, this cold and dry season is representing of the lungs of letting go. And what are we letting go? As I release. We're letting go of all those things that we find are not beneficial for us any longer, right? Is what we're doing is those things that were beneficial, we seen it. It came about in the summertime. So in our fall harvest, we're saying, wow, all these things is coming to the head and beginning to slow down. So I'm looking at those things that were beneficial, those things that I produced, those things I put out there. Great, wonderful. Yes, and we separate the wheat from the chaff, kind of say. So those things that are beneficial, I love, I put out there, wonderful. But some things didn't work as well for me as I either intended, as I thought, or because I wasn't consciously impregnating my life force when I should have been. You know, someone else did it, or it just happened by itself based upon old programs and conditioning. I got some things here that was like, wait a minute, you know, something's not really going on. I need to, you know, well, this is the time to take a look at that, okay, in the fall season, because we want to take everything that's good and those things that were not beneficial to us, just kind of leave them to the side, just let them go, release them, okay. Also, since it's dealing with the lungs, to help facilitate that, we can also do more things with the lungs, such as look at our livers, okay? And I say liver as opposed to diet because me personally, I'm not looking to die anymore, but to just live forever, never, never, as an eternal being, constantly aware of that. So as we look at our livers, right, the circadian rhythm and these as a cycle of things, we may want to employ more foods that help support the lungs, okay? And that's really not my lane, the nutrition aspect, but you know, we have people in our community who are very well educated, very well knowledgeable. My brother and colleague, Dr. Yu, is an expert working together. So he can recommend various foods to help facilitate the lungs, support the lungs. as well as there are some qigong movements that we can do to either to tonify and or to purify. You know, purify the lungs and build up the lungs. And doing this on the physical level with the actual organs will also help facilitate that with our spiritual aspect. Because again, our organs, right? Our organs can be looked at as a physical manifestation of the life force. Based upon the temperament of the life force, what season it's in, again, we have accordance with the organs. So as we look at the lungs and their ability to release and let go, right? The more just mindful that we are about the lungs, and then the more that will actually help us to just release and let go of those things that we know that are not beneficial for us, right? So that once we start going into the winter solstice in a couple of months, we're going to the winter solstice with nothing but purified life force that's beneficial for us, okay? And again, this just kind of gives us an idea of, hey, how to take advantage of the seasons so that my life force, as I change with the seasons, you know, because everything changed, everything moved on constant change. I'm changing, as I change, as I move, I'm actually, again, being in harmony with what's going on with creation, what's going on with nature. Because being around nature is only natural, right? Mm-hmm. All right, so I see a lot there. Any questions so far? Yes.
You said the will equal doing the will and something else represented getting it done.
Life force.
Like,
Right, life force. Again, because the life force that comes from the sun to the earth, that provides life for the earth, life force, the force that provides the life that sustains all life on earth, is the same life force that we have inside of us, each and every last one of us. You know, however, the saying goes the same but different. What makes our life force different? I mean, our life force is as unique as our even more unique than our fingerprints. Okay, based upon our programming, our conditioning, based upon past karma, based upon just a lot of factors will determine our life force in this specific. Okay, and again, so what we understand is, at the Institute for Sacred Evolution, is that the life force is what I use, right? My own life force. I use my life force to bring about the creation that I want to have. And I use my life force with my will, right? Whatever I will to do, I impregnate my life force with my will, with the seed, so that it will manifest. You know, for example, we can say anything. I will jump. I will walk, right? I will. We have an infinite potential to will. However, if the life force is not there, or is dormant, or if we sleep, we tired, if it's not there, then we can't manifest. We can't do it. I'm too tired to jump. I want to walk down the street, but I'm too tired. I don't have the energy to do that. Right. So again, we have to realize that of our duality, we have to, begin to work those two. If we are who we say we are and want to live as we say we are. So you got it. Any other questions so far? Okay, just a kind of a brief recap for those who are coming in. Again, we're talking about here is the seasons, right? And our spiritual harvest. Okay, and we started out this in talking about the sun provides all kinds of energy to us. Gamma rays, UV rays, X-rays. But one of the key energies that come from the sun that we're concerned with in this discussion is the life force that comes from the sun. And so as the life force comes from the sun, it has a direct effect on all living things on this planet. Okay. And again, this planet is the only planet that have so far, living things because of its balance with the sun and its life force. If we're too close, it will be too much, life will not be sustained. Too far away, again, not enough life force for life to be sustained. So there's just the right amount of life force on this planet that gives us life, sustaining all kind of life, right? And as we go around this sun, that life force either increase or decrease depending upon our relationship to that sun. Which means the closer we are to the sun, the more life force, which means that what we call hot, heat, fire. The farther away, the more we get cold, right? And we were saying earlier, even though the life force is one energy, we understand that energy is a vibration. It has a polarity, okay? What we call either masculine, feminine, hot, cold, what have you. And I just wrote down even the polarities have a polarity. And we use the thermal and hydration as our polarity. Thermal, you get heat, hydration, you get water, okay, or wet. And what happens is, even the heat, if there's extreme heat, it's hot. If there's not a lot of heat, if it's lacking heat, lacking that thermal, then it's cold, right? So within that thermal factor, in that heat, you have hot and cold, which again are two principles in that one aspect of the life force. And the same with the hydration aspect, the water aspect. If it's full of hydration, it's wet. If it's lacking hydration, it's dry. So again, even with the feminine aspect of the life force has a masculine and feminine principle, which is why I drew the yin and yang symbol in the sun. Because the sun gives us energy out, especially this life force. But the life force will manifest as a vibratory frequency, and it manifests what we call temperaments on this planet. Again, we're talking about the further we are from the sun, the more cold we are. That element, which is the winter time, is cold and wet. So the water has a correlation with the kidneys, okay, which is the most watery element, in our body, life, and so forth and so on. As we go from the water, we go to the air, which is hot and more springtime, hot and dry summertime, cold and dry, fall, things like that. So, and I also went over how the solar cycle has a correlation like the daily cycle. So, like for example, the extreme winter time, the winter solstice can look at it as midnight. Things ain't too much nothing going on in midnight. But I do want to say this because we live in a society now that even though this is can look at as the natural order of things, because we have free will, we can choose to go against this. And some of us do. Whether we have we call it the graveyard shift on our jobs, where instead of resting in the body here, we actually working, or some of us pride ourselves of being night owls. Well, at 12 o'clock I'm up, 2 o'clock I'm up, doing that. They made it happen. Well, in the natural order of things, our life force should be doing something. But if you choose to go against it, that's cool because of free will. No problem with that. Only thing we're doing here is sharing some ideas, tips, and suggestions on how we can want to get more in line with nature if we so choose to do so. Okay.
You also have to accept the repercussions of going against.
Yes. And one of those things is what you probably talk more about, because I think this may happen 4 times a year, this presentation, because just a reminder, they say repetition is the mother of learning. And what happens is the kidneys, right? We have what's called prenatal and postnatal chi, life force, right? Meaning that the postnatal is what we work with on a daily basis. Okay, every day you rise with the sun and sit and rest with the moon in a natural order thing. We also have our postnatal chi, which we get from our parents, which is actually stored in our kidneys. We have it's called gene, yin gene and yang gene. And what happens is we can go against the natural order of things, and if our constitution is strong, our kidneys are strong, our life is strong, it seems as though ain't nothing happening. I can do this. I don't need no sleep. I can just boom, 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 make it happen. But what happens is at some point in time, our life force, our prenatal life force, we're going to tax our kidneys, our stored life force, which means that at some point we may have some kidney deficiencies because we're not adhering to rules and regulations for our life force. Right.
And you know what, that is so true, because in the African American community, we have more kidney challenges than anybody else on the dialysis, because we are so out of our natural rhythm.
Yep. All the way around. the foods we eat, and just all, tired of people having to get the stress, can't get the proper rest because of the stress. Just so much that taxes us and our kids, right? And so, it's bound to happen if we don't say, wait a minute, I need to get in line, but at least know about getting in line and the importance of being in line in harmony. So, once in a while, every now and again, isn't that detrimental? You may want to hang out once in a while. In fact, we have a cheese social once a month, whereas, we go like 1 or 2 o'clock once a month, because based on the society we live in, hey, what we're doing is this. We're adhering to a program that we have about partying, being out partying. And at the same time, we're using it as a way to bring us together in a collective way. To say that although we're partying, we're partying with a lot of people who have a certain conscience going on. And it's a different type of party that we're doing. In fact, next month will be the last cheese social, because December, January, and February, we're not going to be doing the cheese socials. Because we're adhering to the rhythm. We'll pick back up in the springtime with late party. But what we're going to do is institute even more so a once a month healing, once a month workshop that goes into the core of getting our life force back in balance.
Wow.
Right. So December, January, February, once we partied up, it's time to go into our healing mode. So we're going to focus more so on healing during those 3 months with the collective health initiative. Right. Okay. And again, so more specifically back to this fall time, right? 6 p.m. And again, like I said, this correlates with the day, 12 midnight, 6 a.m. like the springtime. You waking up, okay, I feel I can take care of, tackle the world now. Yes, springtime, in the morning time. And that's what we feel for the most part coming out of the winter time. We feel like, man, the summer's coming, I'm ready. It's just something happening, I feel something. 6 a.m., the liver, things like that. In the summertime, this is all out, baby. It's just, we're doing a damn thing, summertime. So it's our life force, okay, as I mentioned. And it's doing the damn thing with all the programming that went into the life force during the winter solstice at the time of, kind of like this. When you wake up, it seems, for me, it's better when I wake up if I have prepared the night before for the day, right? Because even in the Bible it talks about at the setting of the sun begins a new day.
Right.
Right. So when the sun sets, ideally we should be looking at, okay, this day, recap what I've done for this day. This is what the fall is all about. Recapping what I've done for the day, or recapping what I've done for the year, right? Meaning what has come about that I'm pregnant in my life force with, that began to grow and grow and grow so much that it was like out of control, full blown, right? It's happening. So at 6 p.m. it's fall time, we begin to look at, okay, wow, how was this day? What did I do today? Okay, right? Or what did I do this year? Oh man, and again, those things that were good and great and beneficial, we just take those within our being, within our spirit, say, yes, did it, I did that program, I did that, right? But those things were like, but at 2 o'clock, something happened, I got a phone call, and at 3 o'clock, something happened on our daily basis, or we're looking on a yearly basis. A couple of months ago, something happened, and this month's home. We'll begin to make adjustments based upon how we reflect back over our day or reflect back over our year. And once we make those adjustments, we say, okay, cool, I'm gonna peek and tweak things a little bit. So I'm gonna begin to plan my day for tomorrow. So when I get up tomorrow, it's gonna be all right. So again, we're talking about this fall time, growing and harvesting. We're talking about harvesting those things that were beneficial for us. That we constantly did and constantly worked at and says, okay, good, I can take that. And those things that were not very beneficial, we're just gonna let them go. And again, this is like what the lungs is all about. The lungs is the organs of letting go. Releasing, letting go. Even just breathing, because my daily meditations, I just focus on one of my meditations. I do a couple meditations on today, but one of my main meditations is I just focus on the breath. All I focus on is how am I breathing in, am I slow and deep breathing breath in through the nose, and then releasing out through the mouth. So I'm using the lungs and the breath to simply release. And the more I do that in the simple meditation, I'm beginning to release the negative thoughts, the emotions that are actually stored in the body by using the lungs to release. Okay. So again, the lungs is the organ of releasing. So again, this fall season, we want to look at just simply releasing those things that were not beneficial, harvesting those things that was beneficial within our spirit, so that next month we'll begin to do less and less and less. We're going into hibernation with purity of our life force, with only what we want is saying, boom, I got my life force intact. We're just going to hibernate with all good things. Kind of a squirrel gathering his nuts. You know, the squirrel gathering nuts preparing for the wintertime. What we're doing, we're gathering our nuts. All those things that we put out there, and cool, I'm going to gather this life force up that's purified with all of my good intentions. So when I go into the wintertime, I'm being fed and nourished with only good intentions for my life force. That makes sense?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, right, and that's what's happening with the season, especially with this fall season in the lungs, and you know, I'd say being more in sync with what's happening. You know, being mindful that we have a life force, which is not us, but there's some things that we can do in our lifestyle to help us move into that state of divine, so we actually create what we want to create. Okay. Any questions? Nope, no questions. All right. That is one other thing. That's some good water too. That's some water in the back of you. Once you see what Crystal had in the water, so it's kind of doing some things. Right. And one of the things is, I know this celebration, we can tend to, because it's been a drastic change from yesterday to today. You know, some folks may complain about the weather. Oh man, can you? Right. Just one of the things I would like to suggest. Right. Again, since we have free will, we can either celebrate and embrace and acknowledge anyone as well as complain and say, "Oh, you know, man, you have the right to do that." But here at the Institute for Sacred Evolution, to keep our energetic integrity, right? I would just suggest that around here we just don't really complain about the weather. Because we're complaining about nature. We complain about, look, I don't like God. Ooh, I don't like self. If I'm saying I'm God and I don't like nature. So even though we can, I don't like, you know, our programming in a society, you know, that's great. Like I said, you should do that. But around the Institute for Sacred Evolution, I just want to suggest that we may, you know, change our conversation up a little bit so that we have more of a embracing, you know, idea about nature and God, you know. And for me personally, because I've done it in the past, what I do now is I'm aware, I just simply prepare. You know, it's not really great, it's wonderful. So, you know, just a little side note on, you know, how to keep our energetic integrity here at the Institute for Sacred Evolution, because we're all about acknowledging and, you know, say, God, yes, and I am. It's all good. It's only good and better, you know. All right. So, any other questions? No? No. All right. Well, I guess
Can
it's
you
about.
talk a little bit about the various, I think you said the equinox and the solstice,
Right.
which we're getting ready to come into, the winter solstice.
Yeah, the winter solstice, spring equinox, summer solstice, and fall equinox, right? And basically, these are the times that actually, on a calendar year, that actually signifies when the seasons are changing. Right. And for the most part, it's around the 21st of December, for example, would be the winter solstice, the 21st of March, spring equinox, 21st of June, summer solstice, and 21st of September, the fall equinox. When we're saying about the equinox is simply the equal amount of light in daytime and nighttime, lightness and darkness. The yin and yang are equal aspects. And then in the solstices, we have the extremes. The extreme yang, extreme fire, extreme heat, where the daylight is like daylight for I've already seen, like, you know, like, wow, they like so long. And the winter solstice is when the night has its rain. This is like, seems like it get dark at like 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Man, oh. Right. And this, again, this is reflective of the life force in our relationship with the sun. Okay. The light is representative of the yang and the dark representative of the yin. So even as we get into the cold time, is representative, not just we feel it in our bones, we see it in the sun or lack of sun. And again, what happens is, this is represented by 12 midnight. So the winter solstice is the time when it's extreme yin. You know, we have the hydration and thermal factor. We have the wet, which is the yin of the hydration, and we have the cold, which is the yin of the thermal. So again, the winter solstice is like yin and yin. Okay, and you know, the yin and the feminine principle is about receptivity. It's about healing, nurturing, right? And this is the time that our life force is doing just those things. It's the time that nature's doing those things for the most part. Okay, even though within the yin there's a yang. So in the yin season, we do have like certain animals that do their thing during the winter time. You know, we have certain plants, evergreens, that actually don't, the leaves don't change because they do their thing. But they're in the what we call the minority. Because again, there's only one absolute. And the one absolute is the all in all. Right? Aside from the one absolute, everything else is only a half truth, which means that there's a polarity in everything else. Which means that again, even though we come up the extreme yin, what we should do in the wintertime, we still have some activity. We're still doing something. It's just not as much. Right? So again, as we move from the fall time, we'll begin to do less and less. This is more of a reflective stage right here. As we reflect, you know, I'm saying this is that fall harvest. You do. Okay. Reflecting as well as harvesting, let me say. Again, from that spiritual standpoint, it's about our life force. You know, we're harvesting those things that we put out there, that we did as divine beings, as creators. Because there's nothing in our life, from our experiences, our situations, our circumstances, the people that we meet, there is nothing that we do not create. Right? And if we understand that there's nothing that we create, we may want to say, well, if there's some things that's happening that doesn't resonate with me as far as, ooh, I like that, then I may need to change what I'm doing or become more conscious in creating. In order to be more conscious in creating, we got to know that how do I create?
Yes.
Right? I create with my will and my life force. Again, which is not me. I use my will to impregnate my life force to create. And if I'm aware of that, again, I'm reflecting on what it is I created and how some things are good. And those things that are not, I'm leaving out so that when it's time for December 21st, I know I'm constantly going to impregnate my life with certain things. So over the next year, I can expect some good things to happen. And again, since the lunar calendar is very similar to the 24-hour daily calendar, this is also to be done every day. Just simply reflecting on our day, you know, in the evening time, using the lungs to release and reflecting back on, you know, a daily harvest. Okay, you know, things that was good, if something happened, what role did I play in creating this thing that rubbed me the wrong way, right? Reflecting on it and making proper adjustments and going to bed with it. So when you go to sleep, you're going to sleep with, okay, and so your life force is doing this thing, so you wake up. It's like your energy is going out there on your behalf and doing what you programmed to do. So, yes, sir.
Question, you may have touched on this, but are there any dietary processes that you use in all these transitions?
Yes, and as a matter of fact, I should have this number, but I'm saying yes because there are some dietary practices or some libertarian practices. And I say that because me and myself, instead of using the word diet, I just use the word living. As I reprogram my conditioning in the language that I use. So, what I'm going to write on the board is my brother, my colleague, Dr. U. because this is his lane, not you. 202-469-0264. Right? And like I say, that's his lane. I mean, whatever you, herbs, foods, you know, like kale, he knows what foods that you
Should eat in each season.
right, because you know, as well as more importantly, like I say, this has an effect. This season has a correlation to the lungs. So he can provide herbs and tinctures and things that would help tonify and build up the lungs, things like that. So our physical body is also being in alignment with our spiritual body. Because you know, we have physical, mental, emotional, we have spiritual, all these bodies make one body. So, you know, just about, okay, well, I'm doing for the physical body, I'm doing for the emotional body, the mental body, so I get the body in line, right? With that in mind, I got brother ring in my arm kid.
And another thing is that during the springtime, that's when you really should be doing the cleansing of the liver. Not in the summer, which a lot of people sometimes do, but more in the springtime. The wintertime is a resting time. The body should be at rest. You shouldn't be taxing it as much, you know, through a cleanse.
Over stuffing yourself with food.
Right. That's really our time for resting.
And I'm putting my other brother's name up here, Hareen Ra'onk. Well, you know, this is kind of, I'm spelling it up here. His number is 202-403-7795. And I'm saying this out loud so that in case you can't see it, and for those in TV land, you know, you can contact these two my brothers here, and they have Hareen Ra'onk. His lane is Qigong or Qigong, right? And what that is just simple movements that you can. It's similar to yoga, but they're movements designed to really specifically tone and to purify the organs. And I actually spoke with Hareen Ra'onk yesterday, and we talked about him maybe coming up because he said you asked him about coming up here doing a presentation about Qigong, right? But these two brothers, the things that we take inside of our bodies to help tonify and purify our lungs during this season, as well as just certain simple exercises that we can do to help to tonify and build up our lungs, right? And again, because our organs is the physical manifestation of the vibratory frequency of the life force, whatever temperament it is. Like I say, this life force, the interaction of the and hydration gives us our temperaments, right? And each temperament has a correlation with an actual organ. So the energy of cold and wet is the energy of the kidneys. The energy of hot and moist is the energy of the liver, springtime, cleaning the liver. The energy of hot and dry is the energy of the heart. The energy of cold and dry is the energy of the lungs. So as these seasons progress, we can do certain seasons that help tonify, build up, and purify those organs as well. So again, we're living in a lifestyle that's more in balance as we change, because only constantly this change. If we change with the seasons, we're being in balance and harmony by changing with the seasons. So, any other questions? Comments, add-ons, filling the blanks? Nope. 4 months. Cool. Thank you for allowing me to share today.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, Chef, on that. Let's see, do we have any announcements? Anybody have any announcements in the community? Things that are going on?
Yeah, I spoke briefly about the Chi Social. We having our Chi Social the 31st of this month, Friday night, Halloween, All Hallows Eve. So what we're gonna do is conscious alchemy. We're just gonna take other images out there in the world, bring inside Dynamic Wellness on 4th and 8th Street, and have a conscious good time. We're gonna have some organic apples, bottom for apples, tribute to the ancestors, All Hallows Eve, you know. Also, we encourage people to dress up if you wish. We're dressing up as either a past incarnation or a future aspiration.
All right.
Right? And I will be coming as Farouk myself, so I'm dressing up.
Is that a past or present?
Present, aspiration to rule, right? So I just encourage everyone to come out and support that. And it's a part of the nation, but you know, DJ, party, and dance and all that, right? Thank you.
And we have meditation every day from Tuesday through Friday, right here at 12 noon. Just come up, we meditate, and then you can go back to work, go back onto the plantation. So we're here for you for the meditation. November 7th, November 5th is going to be First Females Friday. When we meet here, we met the second Friday in this month because we were at the summer retreat. So, and in December, we have another one, and then we'll write out a calendar for the rest of 2015 on the various times we'll be meeting. And I think that's it. And now, you got another one?
Right, two more actually. Speaking of my brother, Dr. U, we're going to be at Dynamic Wellness on this Tuesday, actually, as a matter of fact, at 6:30. We're going to be presenting on a workshop on inflammation and joint recovery. Natural ways to, you know, prevent and reverse, you know, certain inflammations, as well as certain joint pain, you know, asthma, arthritis, you know, the common ailments that plague us, right? So the workshop, natural ways to reverse those things. And also on the 27th, which is a Monday here at the Institute, myself doing a workshop on breast cancer awareness. Again, natural holistic ways to, you know, if you know someone who experienced that or, you know, there's an emotional aspect of cancer anyway. So again, we're discussing natural holistic ways to begin to reverse some of these processes, some of these diseases that we have in our community. So that's Tuesday, the 21st, Dynamic Wellness, inflammation and joint recovery, and the 27th here on breast cancer. Okay.
And now we ask that you give to the Institute of Sacred Evolution without doing hurt or harm to yourself, but really pinch yourself and give a little bit more, because we really need the finances here. Do we have any questions or concerns about anything while we're... Okay, well, this afternoon we do have some refreshments. We have chili in the back, we have cornbread, and what else? Chicken. Chicken! Oh, no! We got some garden, some yard bird here. The bird is here. All right, so we have plenty of things for us to eat at least.
One more to waste.
That's right. So what we usually do here is that we provide, nobody has any questions or concerns about anything. And we do girl, boy.
Male, female.
Male, female, woman, man. I have everybody got their little things. Y'all know what y'all are.
That's right.
Okay.